Welcome to the Kate Molland channel. My podcast is now in progress. Let's tune in.
Let's go for it.
Okay, let's give it a shot. Okay, first of all, why should you ask questions on a first date? Why do you think that's important? Imagine yourself on a date and the importance of asking questions. Why do you think that's important?
Well, technically on a first date, you're trying to draw somebody out and gain information, but I struggle with the aspect of all these questions because I don't want a first date behaving like 20 questions, where it's just this constant back and forth of what do you do? What do you like to do? Where did you grow up? Have you been married before? I like to learn about people more organically than that.
Okay, so in this case, though, where there is a first date situation, for a lot of people who go out on dates, do you feel that some men, because we're going to put this from a woman's perspective, do you feel that some men ask questions to set the girl up? Or do you believe that he's asking questions because he's sincerely interested? Because sometimes people ask questions so they can find an Achilles heel and then they seize it. What are your thoughts?
Oh, see, oh goodness, this is going to showcase something about me. I think people are just genuinely interested in seeing if you're a fit, not if they're going to find a way to try to manipulate you.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a nice answer.
I guess I give humanity, or most of humanity, the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think necessarily people are going in to find ways to manipulate you actively.
Okay, now what about women who may be asking questions to a man to find out where he stands financially? Like, so tell me, what kind of job do you have? What kind of car do you drive? How much money do you have? I mean, there are women that do that. Now, there could be two reasons for that. One, because they don't want to waste their time with somebody who is irresponsible. Number two, they could be looking for a way to get access to that money. What are your thoughts?
I think those are valid points. I would be the person to say that they're looking to see if that person is capable of a lifestyle that's compatible with what they're interested in.
So you think it would be fair for a woman to ask a man questions about how responsible he is and where he stands financially? What are your thoughts?
I think so. I think it is fair for a woman to I feel that everybody kind of needs to be indirect and observe in order to glean data, because unfortunately people can just lie.
That would be my second point. What good is asking a bunch of questions and getting answers that cannot be verified?
Yeah, that's one of the things. And we talked about that with apps too, is that people can just lie about their financial status, their height, their weight, all those other things.
Okay, but do you think that some people are clever enough to trip up the person they're asking questions to, like looking for contradictions and things like that?
I feel that most people or most women may not call out the contradiction right away, but they may reflect and be like, wait, he said he had, these properties, but now he doesn't, but he didn't say he sold them. Like, I feel like it may take some women a while to catch on to the breadcrumbs that have been put out there by Hansel and Gretel.
Now, have you ever been in a situation where you may know of or have been in the situation where the person you're talking to does not want to answer any questions at all? Now, the reason why I say that, well, first, give me your answer.
I cannot recall a situation where somebody was uncomfortable about answering questions. I know that I've been uncomfortable answering questions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And, I went on a blind date once. It wasn't my idea. It was a doctor who said, hey, I know this young lady who is looking for a gentleman, and I know you're single, and I'd like to set up a date for both of you. And, if somebody wants to set up a date for me, I'm pretty much game. I don't have a problem with it. I'll make it work. So I agreed to go on a date with this mysterious lady. Didn't see her photo. I did not require her photo. Photos are so misleading. I'm more into energy, you know how I am.
Yeah.
And I just said, well, give me the age range, because I am not interested in dating Grandma Smalley. Sorry. So my thing is, as long as the age range was a certain area, and she was in her late 30s, I'm okay with that. So I go I call her and she says, hey, I understand, that you'd like to meet me and maybe we can get together. When would you like to get together? And I said, well, I'd like to get together for breakfast, if that's okay. She thought that was unusual because she said, well, most men, if she's going on a date, would go out for dinner. I go, yeah, but people go out for dinner. They have all day to think of their lies that they're going to say to each other by dinner. But if I can catch you early in the morning, you don't have time to think because you just woke up a couple hours ago. She started laughing. Of course, she had a sense of humor. She goes, all right, she said, okay, I've got to juggle some things around because I was expecting an evening date. So I said, okay, well, pick a restaurant in the area. We can go for breakfast. So she had selected Mimi's French Cafe. You familiar with
okay.
that?
I am.
And so when we met, for some reason, because it was a blind date and because it was, she seemed kind of anxious over the telephone, she came across to me like I had the power. And so that made me feel very confident going into this breakfast because I believe that on a blind date or on a first date, there is going to be that one person that assumes the power of the date. Now, what are your thoughts on that before I go any further into my blind date? Do you think that's possible where someone can feel out the other person prior to the date and say, you know what, I got the power here? Or you know what, she's got the power? Or you know what, he's got the power? You ever think about that?
Goodness, no, I don't believe I've ever really considered in that type of situation where it's a blind date, like who has the power or the edge in coming together for that event.
But is it possible that somebody could have the power and maybe neither one of them realizes it, but onlookers can say, oh, I can see who's got the power in this table. I can totally see it.
Yeah, because it's an energy thing and it's how you carry yourself and it's how you interact with others. So there's definitely things there that can be observed, I think.
Because, like even in Fremont, I'll come back to my story in a minute, but in Fremont one time, I would be with some friends and we would be able to determine which table was a first date. We looked and I said, now that's a first date over there. And they said, well, why do you say that? If you just look at how uncomfortable they both are. Look at the guy being very, very careful. Look how the girl is staring at him, looking at his shoes, trying to penetrate his skull with her eyes as he talks to see if what he's saying is true. And you can see the guy salivating. You could just tell that this was their first date. Now, as I watched them both, the girl said, okay, well, I'm going to go outside for some fresh air if that's okay. And the guy says, well, okay, I'll follow you. So he goes outside and he puts his hands on her. He holds her hand without asking. You could see she was uncomfortable. He pins her up against the wall. You could see she was uncomfortable. He kisses her on the forehead by filling her ears with a lot of sweet talk, which you could obviously see. And you could see the girl inching away. So I saw right there who had the power. It was obvious who had the power. Who had the power?
The guy?
See, a lot of people said the guy had the power. I said he was a weakling. And he showed he had no power whatsoever. The girl had the power, and she was in control, and she was letting him know how far he was going to go, how far he was going to get. And this is not working. I'm looking for my way out. That's how we saw it.